Okay, everyone, we are about to begin the outlining process for the Unit 3 crime scene final paper for this course. As you know, for the most of the unit, we've been working on Unit 3 crime scenes, reading different sources, watching different sources, and now it's time to kind of put all that together. So previously, you had taken some notes on this Unit 3 crime scenes final essay outline. I want you to go ahead and open this up right now. So if you don't have this open, please pause the video and open this up on your screen. Okay, if you're here, then you should have this version of the outline open. Now, mine might look a little different than yours because I've kind of completed mine ahead of time to get you started on outlining mostly what's going to be the introduction to this essay today. Okay. So, a quick little recap. This is for Unit 3, crime scenes. It's the final essay of the unit, which is going to be a major factor of your third quarter grade because it will be worth 65% of your grade, and it's 100 test points. Okay. So here are the directions. Since we have come to the culmination of our unit, students will be required to write an essay on the essential question of the unit: who suffers when a crime is committed? Right? Remember, this is the question you're always going to be trying to answer in this essay. Okay. So previously, we went over all the different texts and sources that we covered throughout Unit 3. So you want to, again, kind of take a quick look over them. These are all different sources we used. If you joined the course late or if you were not here for every day, that's okay. As long as you know enough about these sources, I have enough of the materials completed to be able to use them in your essay. And you might not be using all of these. You might only just use some of them. Also, previously, you were given a list of different groups or categories to use, people that might have suffered from when a crime is committed. And there were 11 different ones that we talked about, we listed, right? And what you want to do is you want to go back and you want to highlight the three or four that you were going to use in your essay. Now, I have four highlighted here, as you can see, but you only need three if you only want to write three about three. That's all that's required. Four if you want to make your essay a little longer, a little bit more specific, and a little bit more likely to get a higher grade just because you have more content. And you want to make sure that they're highlighted. So if you haven't done this part, please go back through and highlight whatever whatever three or four you plan on using as groups or categories affected when a crime is committed. So pause the video and highlight these now if you haven't done that. Okay, the next step, and I think I asked you to complete this already, but if you haven't, that's okay, or maybe if you missed class, that's okay, was once you've identified the three or four specific groups that suffer from a crime, and after you highlighted them in the list above, as you saw here, you then wanted to write each one out in one of these boxes. So you see, I wrote about direct victims, I'm writing about family loved ones, the society at large, and the offenders themselves. So I put each one of them in a different box here to show you the different four different groups and categories that I'm going to focus on. So if you have not populated these boxes yet, please write down the three or four that you're going to be using in your essay in these boxes now. All right, if you're back, then I'm assuming that you've highlighted, or I'm sorry, that you've written down the ones that you've highlighted from up here in these boxes. So that takes us to the next process. Now, the next process is these are all going to make up your body paragraphs. You're going to have a paragraph about how direct victims are offended. You're going to have a paragraph about how family and loved ones are offended or affected when a crime is committed. You're going to have a paragraph about how society at large is affected when a crime is committed. And you're going to have a paragraph about offenders as a crime is committed. And again, this is my example. Your four might be different, your three might be different. What that you then need to do is you then need to go back through all the texts and sources that we covered, or possibly some of your own that you know of off the top of your head, other true crime events that occurred that maybe we didn't address in this class. And you want to write down at least two, if not three, in each of these categories for each one. So if you kind of look, I have them all listed back up here as to help you out. But again, you can use sources that are outside of what we learned in class, but I do want to see a predominant amount of sources from this list, right? So when it comes to direct victims, for me, I decided to use these three examples as the following. I decided to use the 2020 episode Escape from a House of Horrors because I thought there are some great examples of direct victims who were highly affected by the crime that was committed. I decided to choose the 57 Bus by Dashka Slater because I thought that had a really strong example of a direct victim that was affected by the crime. And I also went with the Tylenol murders, which we didn't read or watch. It was a night puzzle that we did. It's a story about a very famous event that happened in the Chicagoland area that also had a number of information about direct victims and how they were affected by the crime. So what I want you to do right now is to go back and find three sources, or at least two to begin with, to match the category that you came up with on this side. So pause the video and do that now. Okay, if you're back, then I'm sure you have this box filled and you have your examples for this box as well listed in the right hand column, right? So again, if you just kind of looked over my screen, I went and I did this process for each one of my categories: family and loved ones, society at large, and the offenders. And you notice I tried to use a variety of different sources in each paragraph for each different category, but sometimes I did use the same ones. So sometimes, if you look down here at offenders, I used the 57 bus again as well. So I was able to use a variety of different ones. In fact, I think I used mostly all different ones. The only one that I repeated was the 57 bus. I talked about how that affected the direct victims, and I'm also talking about how that affected the offender themselves. And then also, I used the poem Gift Wrapped Fathers by Eduardo Eco Martinez to talk about how family and loved ones are affected by a crime. I also used Gift Wrapped Fathers, a poem by Eduardo Martinez, to talk about the offender is affected by the crime. So you can repeat ones, especially ones that you know pretty well, but you do want to try to use a variety of different ones in your essay because that shows me not only that where you're paying attention throughout this unit, but that you are going to be using a multitude of different sources in your essay, which makes for a really strong essay. So, what I'd like you to do right now is to take your time, go back, and make sure that all of these boxes and all of these examples are populated. Remember, you don't have to do a fourth one like I have down here. You only need three, but if you want to write a longer essay with more detail and an extra body paragraph, then you would do a fourth one. So, take your time, pause your video, and make sure that you completed this entire chart. Okay, if you're back, then I'm assuming that you have your entire chart outline, which means you have all the examples and all the categories and groups that you're ready to use in your essay. So you're actually ready to begin outlining this essay. Now, if you're not sure if you did this right, I would stop the video, raise your hand, call me over, and actually check it for you. I could also look at your examples and let you know if I think they're strong, or again, if you're pulling examples from other sources, you might want to run them by me first to make sure that they apply as well. So now you want to scroll down. So now it says, now you're going to create your thesis statement. Take your three or four groups or categories that suffer when a crime is committed and create a thesis statement for your essay that your paper will set out to prove. Remember, the thesis statement should be clear and clearly articulate for your reader what your essay will argue. If you recall, your thesis statement is the most important part of your introduction paragraph because it's at the end of your introduction and it drives your introduction and it drives your paper. It basically tells exactly what your paper is going to be about. And I even gave you some help here. I gave you kind of a starter sentence. You can use mine as an example if you want to. Otherwise, you can come up with your own. I welcome either one. But I'm going to show you mine here. So it says, through analysis of numerous resources and texts, the three or four main groups or categories that suffer when a crime is committed are. Now, I'm writing about four. So the first thing I want to do is get rid of the three. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that and get rid of the three. However, if you're writing about three and not four different examples, you want to get rid of the four and leave three there. So go ahead, pause the video, and remove the number of the one that you are not going to be doing, and keep the number of the one that tells how many examples you are using. Okay. So now, again, I have four here. So now all I simply have to do is list my four, right? So I come back up here and I look at my four right here, direct victims. So I'm going to go ahead and type out direct victims, family and loved ones, society at large. Sorry, loved ones, society at large, and offenders, period. That's all I did was I took my four that I'm going to address in my essay and I wrote them right there. So you want to go ahead and take the four that you're going to address your essay and put them right there as well. So pause the video and do that now. So if you have this done, that means your thesis statement is complete. That means you know exactly what your paper is going to be writing about and set out to prove. So now you're really ready to begin outlining. Now, if you recall, an essay has numerous parts. You have your introduction paragraph, you have your first body paragraph, which is your second paragraph. You have your or you have your second body paragraph, which is your third paragraph. You have your third body paragraph, which is your fourth paragraph. You might have a fifth paragraph, which would be another body paragraph if you have four examples. If not, if you only have three, you can actually delete all of these boxes right here if you only have three examples, because you're not even going to need this for your outline. But I have four examples, so I'm going to leave this here. But if you only have three, you don't even need, that's why it says if needed right here. So you can go ahead and delete all of these boxes just to remove them from your list. So if you have three, or if you're using four, you're ready to begin. If you don't, go ahead and delete these boxes for your fourth one if you're only doing three. All right. And then, of course, you also have a conclusion paragraph, which we'll talk about at a later date. Also, at the bottom here, I have a rubric for how this essay will be graded. You might want to look over that at some point. I probably will go over that with you at some point as well. All right, but today we're just going to focus just on the introduction. Now, as you know, an introduction has three parts. We've done this numerous times in this class. You want to start off your paper with a nice hook or attention grabbing sentence. You want to give some background information on your topic or the essential question of this essay. And then you want to have your thesis statement. Now, your thesis statement is already finished, right? It's right here. So you want to go up and you want just kind of highlight it, copy it. Make sure you don't copy the whole box, just the text. I'm going to come down here and I'm going to hit Control V. I'm going to paste it. And now I have my thesis statement completed. So what I'd like you to do is go up and grab your thesis statement and put it in this box right here too as well. So pause the video and do that now. Okay, if you're back, then I'm sure your thesis statement is done. So you're ready to write the rest of your introduction paragraph. So since you know what your essay is going to be about, you now can open up with some kind of a hook, some kind of attention grabbing sentence. Remember, this is an opening sentence or two or even three that draws your reader into your essay. You don't speak to your reader, you just kind of address the topic that you're going to be writing about. And there's a number of different things that you can write here. There's a number of different things you can say here. I'm not going to tell you or show you any because I want you to try to write your own opening and your own hook for your essay. So this is going to take a little time maybe. So you'll pause the video and try to write an opening to your essay right here in these boxes or in this box. Pause the video, do that now. All right, if you're back, then I'm assuming your attention grabbing sentence or your opening hook is written. If you're not confident that it's good, you might want to have someone read it, or you might even want to call me over and have me read it. I can give you some advice, maybe clean it up a little bit, or see if you even did it correctly. If you're confident you wrote a pretty good hook or you think you know what you're doing, go ahead and keep working and maybe call me over later on to check more of it. So now that this box is completed, you're ready to move on to the third and final box, which is actually the middle one, and that's the background information on the essential question. This is where you basically set up your paper before you get into your thesis statement, telling your reader without talking directly to them what is this paper basically going to be focusing on? What is the essential question that this paper is going to be answering? Right? Remember, the essential question is back up here at the top. Who suffers when a crime is committed? So you want to write about that a little bit here. You don't want to give me any examples. You don't want to talk. You don't want to talk about anything that we learned or that we read. You just want to talk about this topic and this essential question right here in this box. So pause the video right now and write, about 2 or 3 sentences, giving a little background information on the essential question that your essay is going to be about. Okay, if you're back, then I'm assuming all 3 of your boxes are completed, which means that you have already written your introduction paragraph. Because when you put your essay together, you'll just put these in order A, B, and C. As you know, I showed you in the past how to kind of assemble an essay together from an outline. So you'll be able to put that outline together or that is introduction together on your final document when you are ready. One thing I might do is take some time, go back through all of these 3 boxes, clean it up, make sure the grammar is good. If you're not confident if you wrote it properly, you could call me over and check it with me. If you are confident, you're done with your introduction paragraph and you're ready to move on to start writing the important part, the most significant part of your essays, which is the body paragraphs, which we'll talk about in a different video. So, congratulations, you should be finished with your introduction and you're just one step closer to finishing this essay.